Hello and welcome to Dish Shelved with Adam White. I'm going to do something a little different today. My YouTube inspiration, Michael K. Vaughan, has dubbed June on the Range to read Westerns. So I decided I'm going to take up with that and do Westerns here in June in solidarity with him. I thought it was a good idea because I like westerns and I haven't read any in a while, and I thought this would be a good chance to read a few westerns. So the first one I read was one I saw in the book I talked about a few videos ago about vintage paperback books. This was the cover I showed you of King Colt by Luke Short. Uh, it says they took his badge, so he made the law with his gun. And I was like, excuse me, I was like, I've got to read that. And that's perfect for the first Western this month. I'll start with, I didn't know much about it other than the tagline, but I decided that I really liked it. I read it on Kindle. As you can see, I've got my ultra expensive technology here showing you the cover that I printed out on a printer low in ink. And so that's my unlimited technology budget at work again. Uh, I liked this cover better than the one they had on the Kindle version. It was kind of just a generic showed a horse and a guy off in the distance. I thought this cover was a lot better. Uh, this book, I started off about the first 25% of it thinking that it could be it was pretty generic. Uh, it could have been a story for any Western TV show or Western movie or Western book. Stuff was it just started out pretty generic. So 20 to 25%. You can always tell when I've read it in Kindle because I talk in percentages. Uh, but I was glad I stuck with it because after a certain point, a few key things happen and business picks up. And then from then, I couldn't put it down. It was excellent. Uh, the only other complaint I had, I just want to get those out of the way, was that Nora, the love interest in a love triangle between the main character, Johnny Hendry, and another guy named Tip, who was actually a decent guy, and they were both vying for her attention. But Nora was pretty much a cardboard cutout. She was really the only woman in the book at all, and she really was just a cardboard cutout. You could have replaced her with any other character, any other woman character in a book, and it would have been the same thing. So that was my only other complaint to it. I was a little disappointed in that. I like to have strong women characters in the books that I read. But she was just kind of wishy-washy and never knew which one she wanted and who she loved more. And it was just, oh, woe is me all the time. And so that was a little bit. But Johnny Hendry, the main character, wants to get revenge for the death and the murder of his adoptive father, Pick Hendry, and which you'll find out that's one mystery in itself that starts out right at the beginning, but you know something that the rest of the characters in the book don't know. And I saw how well that played out later in the book, but they do that right at the beginning. I don't want to tell you what it is because I don't want to give anything away. It's hard to talk much about this book without giving anything away because after that first 20 or 25% of the book, everything matters. Uh, Johnny Hendry runs for sheriff, and I won't tell you how that turns out either because it's interesting how that turns out. And you see, it's just part of the scheming of the bad guys of the book. There's lots of bad guys, but Johnny Hendry gets himself a few characters that he gets to be on his side, and they weren't necessarily starting out thinking that they were the good guys, but they turn out to be. And so you really see a lot of people you think are good guys, but are actually bad guys, and people that you think might be bad guys, but are actually decent human beings. And I mean, they're still real gritty and uh, have done bad things, but you see that they have reasons for doing so. Uh, he really starts a scheme against the main bad guy who he didn't think was a bad guy to begin with, but now once he finds out the truth, Johnny starts doing all these different things from cattle rustling to I don't want to say what they are because they're also it's surprising when he does these things, and he really gets the bad guy good. He gets him. He ends up just taking away everything that meant anything to this guy, and he just everything about it was excellent. I really enjoyed it. It was a great Western because it had all the Western tropes. You know, they're out on the horses in canyons. There's gold digging, which a lot of the book revolves around uh, mine, whether they think there's a real mine that's hit the mother lode or if there's a fake mine that doesn't have any gold in it at all. There's a couple of different beliefs about that, and there's some schemes involved in that. And it just was really good. Uh, you had gunfights. You had all the stuff you loved having in a Western. Uh, the main good guy who's not too good to do stuff that you might consider a little bit on the bad side, but Johnny is a good guy at heart, and he always plays fair, but he does some things that are really awesome that that are all in the name of getting this bad guy who's really done bad things for the town that he's from. And it just was a really good book. Like I said, the first bit of it was a little bit generic, like I said, but once you get past it, it's just kind of the setup for the rest of the story. Once you get past that, it's well worth your time to have read this. I'm really glad I did. It was an excellent book. Uh, I'm going to read more Luke Short books. It looks like there was a few movies made out of some of his books too. So I might check those out because I love Western movies too, TV shows. I haven't talked about a Western before, but I haven't read any for a while. And I thought this June on the Range was the perfect time to get back into that. So I hope you'll give this book a look. You can get it on Kindle for like $3.99, real cheap. Matter of fact, I looked, and most of his books are available on Kindle for about $3.99. So it's a really inexpensive way to get into some westerns, and I think that you'll be happy that you did. If you have any interest in westerns at all, you'll really like this book. Like I said, get through the first part of it, but it's really well worth it when you get into the bulk of the story. And at every turn, he does something new and unexpected, and just really funny the way he handles all the different stuff that he does in this book. So I hope you'll give it a shot. King Colt by Luke Short. Really good Western. I'm looking forward to some of the next ones I'm going to read. Those will be coming up this month. And thanks for hanging out with me this week. And I'll see you guys next week.